Dig it!
Ladies, gentlemen, friends, foes, lurkers, regulars, GMO people, organic people.
Boiler room. Inbound. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Ladies and gentlemen, friends and foes, welcome to the Boiler Room. We're live here out of alternatecurrentradio.com. We're live on the audio stream at Spreaker.com and, of course, on our website, alternatecurrentradio.com. We're live on YouTube at the Alternate Current Radio YouTube. What's going on, YouTube? How you doing out there? We're live on the Rockfin. What's going on, rockers out there at the Rockfin? Hope everybody's doing well. Thank you for joining us for this live broadcast, 15 September 2022. As the world gets stranger and stranger, so shall we. So let's get into it. Let's see. Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. All right. Without further ado, let's welcome everybody. Boom, there we go. We got the room opened up. Let me introduce the one and only Wandering Wolf, Mr. Corey Drayton. Welcome back to the Boiler Room. How are you this evening, my friend?
Why, hello. I'm doing fantastic tonight, and it's so good to be back with you all. Just got the blast shields prepped, and let's wade through the media miasma.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Looking forward to doing that with you for sure tonight. And let's also welcome Ruckus to the show, the man behind the Daily Ruckus, the man who will be joining Joseph Arthur on the Technicolor Dreamcast on TNTRadio.live shortly after his Boiler Room appearance tonight. Ruckus, what's up? Welcome to the show.
Howdy, 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 as I usually say. Thanks for having me. But yeah, we've all been quite busy, haven't we? Hesher, you've been on air pretty much all day. So
yeah,
kudos to you for being
such a banger of a podcasting day. That's for sure. It's live stream after live stream. It's been fun though. It's been fun. I had an interesting show on TNT this morning. Always learned new things on my show from all the wonderful guests I have over there. So it's nothing
sometimes
but
you're handed a hot potato and you handle it quite well, my friend.
Oh yeah, thanks, man. Yeah, I do get a couple of hot potatoes tossed my way now and again, but that's always fun. It's always fun to flex the old let's juggle the hot potato muscles. And yeah, looking forward to hearing you on Joseph Arthur again later tonight.
Me as well. All right, but until then, thanks for having me. Let's do this thing here we call the Boiler Room. Yeah,
let's boil some stuff up. Let's move on over to the one and only, the very lovely curator of all things whiskey, Tango, Foxtrot on the interwebs. Lovely Spore. How you doing? Welcome to the show.
Hey, I'm doing great, and I'm happy to be here as always.
Well, we're very happy to see you and looking forward to figuring out what we're going to do, what we're going to open the show with tonight. Everybody, if you're new around here, we like to open with an icebreaker, and sometimes Hesher will canoodle around until he can find the sample for it. What are you going to break the ice with tonight in the Boiler Room, Spore?
Oh, that's a good ice breaking. And you actually were the one that provided the icebreaker this week. And thank you, everybody that submitted them. It's total clown world right now, and there is so much crazy, weird stuff to talk about. But this one's it's almost like a part 2 or 3 sort of icebreaker type, touching on some icebreakers that we did a couple of years ago. The title is, and this is from Fox News. Unsavory allegations rock chess world as American teen shocks #1 player in a tournament. So the shocking defeat of one of the best chess players in the world sparked accusations of cheating and has thrown the sport into a tailspin over the last few weeks. Magnus Carlsen, the 31-year-old chess grandmaster who was unbeaten entering the Sicklefield Cup, lost to upstart American player Hans Niemann last week, ending the top-ranked chess player's 53-game winning streak. After the loss, Carlson tweeted he was withdrawing from the tournament. I'm not going to read the whole thing, just highlights. His manager, Carlson's manager, said, "If I speak up, I'm in trouble." Neiman, 19, immediately was faced with accusations of cheating, from anything to wireless vibrating anal beads to a vibrating shoe, according to multiple records. Tesla from Elon Musk even added to the controversy with a tweet of his own suggesting something was in Neiman's butt during the match. A professional game also suggested something like that as well.
So, Teledildonics rears its ugly head once again here in the boiler room. Hey, don't shoot the messenger, folks. We don't write the headlines. We just read them. We warned you about teledildonics and all of the weird things that were going to start happening in public spaces, but
we
didn't predict this one, did we, Spore?
We did not predict this one, and it's a fascinating and really great way of using the teledildonics. And just for anybody that doesn't know what teledildonics are, it's basically a remote control for your dildo. So you can have, your loved one or whatever, maybe even your enemy, hold on to a remote control that activates the device that you put into whichever orifice you're trying to please. Or this is great. I'm just so innovative. It could be used like a Morse code for chess cheating.
Yeah.
Game or.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So a shoe, I like the idea of a shoe better, but they had to throw the anal beads, the teledildonic anal beads in there, Wandering Wolf. I'm not surprised, because you got to wonder, because they actually do, they have security measures for people that come into these. I was reading about this, and they search you, you know what I mean? You can't walk in there with your smartphone or a device in your ear or anything like that. So it's got to be well snuck in, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, it would have to certainly be pretty deep in the colon. This is such an interesting one. I'm a chess player. I played competitively for many years. I'm very familiar with both the players involved. Carlson's definitely a machine. He's a really strong positional player. But I have to say the whole notion that there was cheating involved, that just seems bizarre to me, because again, anyone who has a good knowledge of the game knows that there are going to be a certain number of permutations for various moves. So it's possible that maybe Carlson just didn't play his best chess and he was outflanked by his opponent. Why are we going straight to the realm of cheating? And the teledildonics angle is certainly interesting, but I agree with you, Asher. There's a tremendous amount of security that goes into monitoring the audiences and the participants in these events. So it's hard for me to imagine that something could have been smuggled in. This is a weird one. I don't know really what to make of it.
Smuggled in the prison purse. Yeah, who knows? I don't know. Yeah, I wonder, there's got to be more to the story. I noticed they talked about this guy's ranking and that he had a history of cheating online in the online realm. I don't know how they caught him doing that. I don't even know how one cheats at chess. Corey, how does one cheat at chess? Because everybody can see the board. Is there another person? Is there a Cyrano de Bergerac sort of thing going on, or how's that work?
Well, even if someone else was telegraphing specific moves using hand signals, or maybe, I scratch my nose on the right side or the left side in response to, let's say, a particular response to a gambit or an opening, still, it's hard for me to take that so far into the realm of full-blown cheating. I think that the most obvious way to cheat in a match like that, a public match, would be able to pull out chess manuals and go through notations. If you're looking at your Tarrasch notations in the middle of a match, then certainly that would be very blatant, obvious cheating. But that's not possible. And also, too, I mean, a lot of the times when you're playing at this level, yeah, you're on a clock, but you do have time to step away and consider your next move. I mean, it's certainly not unprecedented to go off for 12 hours to contemplate your strategy and think about your moves, visualize them inside your mind, and then come back, resume the game on legal time, and execute the next sequences of moves. But even then, no one would consider that to be cheating. That's just taking a break to strategize, just like sports teams do between plays, sometimes having a huddle and discussing what the next play is going to be. So it's extremely difficult, I think, to prove that cheating is possible, let alone that any cheating took place.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, okay, good, because that's kind of what I thought too, but I just didn't know. I'm not deep enough into the sport, the game, if you will, to know anything about modern cheating and whatnot. And this is interesting, Ruckus. Check this out. If Corey's onto something here, and this guy is not a cheater, because I still don't get what the evidence of his cheating is. So if he's not, this is what he said to KSDK TV. He said, I have never cheated in an over the board game. That is the worst thing I could do. Cheat in a tournament with prize money. He went on to say, my dream came true. I lived my dream for a day, beating Magnus, and then all of this happened. So it's like if he did win and everything was above board, I finally got to use my pun in a literal sense. That's pretty mean. That is pretty sucky that he's getting accused of bringing in vibrating anal beads. I mean, where's the proof of this? This is quite the smear if this isn't correct.
Man, if Beavis and Butthead were here, they would not have survived your little
Would
monologue
be
there.
freaking out.
Starting where you said you're not deep enough into the sport. Anyways, I don't know. I remember when I'm not into the whole competition chess. I'm not into the sport at all. So um I guess you could call me chess curious. I used to play a little bit when I was a kid. I understand how to play. I get the notion. Bill Cooper used to talk about how if you wanted to understand how the elite think and operate, you should learn how to play chess. So I get it because I already understand how chess is played. But I think people like, Wandering Wolf, and then these people who they're really intense into this chess thing. It's a different level for them. It's a whole nother world. So I think that it's a pretty big deal if the guy's just coming out of nowhere and accusing this guy of cheating for no reason other than it hurt his pride, which is most likely after how many wins, 58 or so. I mean, sucks to lose, right? But as Wandering Wolf pointed out, you would like to think that in the world of something as sophisticated as chess, we wouldn't have such childish, rampant behavior. And we immediately go to accusing somebody of cheating. And not only that, in such a bizarre way, they're like, there's no way he won. He's got something up his ass, obviously. Like, what? Okay, well, I guess it is clown world. So I actually think there's something deeper going on here. The fact that we're talking about it, the fact that it's a story, you know how that really works, Hesher. So this is absolutely probably planting the seeds for something else. So I would suggest that they're just trying to put this out the feelers, as it were, to the public so that they understand that, hey, yeah, I heard about how that one guy who was using like vibrations from something up his ass and, he won some chess tournament. So I could understand how and believe when I see this headline, how they're going to use teledildonics in a military setting for the woke army out there in Ukraine. But anyways, I hope people can use their imagination with that one. Otherwise, it could just be I don't know. This opens up a whole door. I mean, there's so many things you could do with this. Thinking about this, I'm with Spore on this one. It's an interesting application, interesting word there, application of the technology. And guys, how Disney's been doing their woke thing, and they like to remake movies and whatnot. Like have caused quite a ruckus, I suppose, with the Little Mermaid thing. I could care less one way or another there. But I could easily see how they could use something like this as a plot line to do like a modern, updated, woke, LGBTQ, whatever you want to call it, version of Ratatouille. What do you guys think?
I could see that. I could definitely see that. I could also see the whole that angle you're going with there. Like this scandal is brought to you by Adam and Eve and their teledildonic department. So maybe we can get mafia and militaries involved in this. It's the new means of sneaking a wire into a conversation or something like that. Right up the keister. All right. Well, to be
Yeah.
fair, here's a little more context to add there, and then I'll take your comment, Corey. According to the International Chess Federation ratings, Neiman, he's the one that beat him, that has been accused of cheating, was ranked number 49 in the world with a 2,688 rating, whatever that means, and Carlson was number one. So we're talking about the top dog here, the top dog number one in the world with a 2,861 rating. And Neiman ended up finishing seventh place in the tournament. And it says here the young chess player was also banned from chess.com and uninvited from the global championship, according to The Guardian. The website told the New York Post that Neiman was banned for cheating on the website. So he does have a track record, I suppose. However, it is one does cheat on the website he's been caught for. So I guess you could see that. I could see the frustration of the champion there if he got beat by this guy and why he might accuse him. But still, quite a headline, quite a mess, man. What do you think?
Well,
Oh, go ahead.
I just want to say one thing, but straight to the anal beads and vibration in the butt.
Yeah,
like,
how's that work?
I mean, that's just a little bit of it's a bit of a jump from like, oh, you cheated online to you must have something in your butt.
That escalated quickly, didn't it, Spore?
Yeah, exactly.
How rude.
Yeah, what's interesting about this to me is that so it's been suggested that one of the ways that one could theoretically cheat in a situation like this would be to use a chess engine, a computer. You can let's say a chess app on your cell phone to permutate your opponent's moves. Certainly that would be the baseline way of doing it. But the problem is, and this is something that goes all the way back to 1997 when Deep Blue, the IBM computer, defeated Garry Kasparov in 1997. Chess is a hugely psychological game. It's not just about memorizing opening repertoires and studying the chess masters and trying to predict what the permutations of a given set of moves are going to be over 5 or 10 moves. You are also playing a lot of psychological games and using misdirection, especially if you're a tactical player and not a positional player. Then you're relying an awful lot on trying to get your opponent to think that you are playing a sequence or playing a combination that you're actually not playing. And that's something that artificial intelligence simply cannot do. And I don't think it'll ever be able to completely, fully predict the psychological aspect of playing a game as complicated as chess. It's so much more than mathematics and memorization. There's a lot that happens when you are engaged with your opponent that's going on in terms of body language, in terms of tempo, in terms of everything that you're communicating about your mental state on the board that computers just can't touch. So I kind of wonder if this might just be an attempt to create a controversy in the chess world that's as big as the Deep Blue upset of 1997. What do you guys think about that?
Interesting. So maybe just some good PR for the sport, if you will, for the game. That could be. That very well could be.
Way to ram the point home, Corey.
Yeah,
sorry.
way to ram it down. Yeah, there you go.
This is just so, but like, I mean, now I'm thinking about Idiocracy with the whole go away and baiting. It's like, go away and playing chess.
Mhm. Go away, I'm cheating at chess.
Do both.
Oh man, good stuff. Fun with teledildonics in the boiler room. Once again, who would have thought chess would lead us back into that? Oh man. All right. Well, best of luck to the chess master there and to the accused. I hope we eventually hear what actually happened
I
there.
have one more thing to say, and I'm sorry, this might be a little bit over the line, but I mean,
No, you're not.
brought me into a place where I'm like, okay, let's just say that this guy actually is using a remote vibrator in his butt, which is an erogenous zone, obviously. Like maybe perhaps there's video evidence of him being like, ha, or like, or oh, or like having moments of like, oh, like maybe there was some evidence during the games that he might have been getting some extra sort of vibrations.
All right, a flinch or a giggle or something like that. Maybe they need to do some signal jamming. They need to do some like Wi-Fi signal interruption or some Bluetooth interruption. I'm not sure what frequency teledildonic anal beads run on, but maybe they should get some jamming technology.
Well, this is actually dangerous because somebody with evil intentions could like hijack, like hack into the person's teledildonics and force them to lose. So this gets so much more interesting than, as usual, as these icebreakers often do.
Oh
I believe
yeah.
we have a latecomer to the party. What's up with
Looks
this?
like we got a combat landing by Infidel Pharaoh. Infidel, what's up, man? Welcome to the show. How you doing?
Hey guys, sorry for being late.
That's all right. That's all right. No problem. No problem. I'm not even gonna bother trying to get you caught up on what we just went through here, man. What's on your mind this week, dude? What story's hot on your list, man?
Oh boy. What story hot on my list? I
Well,
actually has not. Oh, go ahead.
how do you feel about DeSantis sending up
Dude,
airplane loads of migrants
listen.
to
Yeah,
Washington
and guess
D.C.?
what? Like 9 hours ago, freaking Abbott. Like, oh, I sent like a plane to DC in front of Kamala Harris. Here is my thing with those Republican governors. Why don't you do something that's actually useful? Why don't you declare an emergency and get the federal government out of there and close your damn borders instead of this like stunts? I'm just done with this political crap. It's
Yeah,
probably
man.
fine.
I had a feeling you'd say that. I did a whole rant on that on my show today at TNT. I'm so sick of this, dude. It's so stupid. I mean, like, if you want to really not use very much of your brain, you can get down there and say, haha, that's really funny seeing them send those guys to the sanctuary cities and all the idiots that push these policies that don't have border states. Haha. But really, it's like, why don't you just make it stop instead of participating in it? Because you're just not even tacitly, you're actively participating in the active border thing. And it's like, dude, 14,000 people came from Venezuela in one caravan, and 50 of them I lost him. We lost Infidel already, but 50 people get put on a bus and get made a PR stunt out of. What about the other 13,950 people? What about that? I don't know. It's ridiculous. That sucks. We lost Infidel so quickly there. Hopefully he'll rejoin. Wandering Wolf, what do you think about that one, man? What's going on? That sending them to Martha's Vineyard this time, right? So we got migrants going to Washington D.C. now, migrants going to Martha's Vineyard, and then out front of Kamala Harris's joint, wherever that is. I don't know where that is, but yeah, they just keep at this one, man.
Yeah, this is an interesting one, and I'll admit I definitely got a chuckle when these stories were first breaking and hitting the news. But I am getting to the point now where I think that at some point we're all going to have to stop and say, okay, is there something to be said for the optics of using human beings in this way as semiotic weapons to piss off the political opposition? I mean, isn't that just a bit unseemly? Why don't we, instead of using human beings to get these gotchas, actually put our heads together and try to solve the fucking problem? Why don't we do that instead? So I am getting to the point where I'm just sick of it happening, even if I might agree with the sentiments behind why it's being done. And I despise Kamala Harris, and I despise the entire woke Biden administration. Everybody on the call knows that. but I don't also want to be associated with this idea of using human beings as pawns. Let's tie it into the previous subject to effect an end. I think that's disgusting, personally, even if I can agree with the sentiments behind it.
Yeah, exactly. It's weird, Ruckus, because it's like on the one hand you're like, haha, yeah, okay, here you go. You guys like this idea, Washington D.C. You like this idea, Seattle. You like this idea. Oh, how about you, Martha's Vineyard? We'll just bust a bunch of people in there, see how it goes. But I don't know, man. It feels really disingenuous at this point.
Yeah, and it doesn't fix the problem.
Not
Like
at all.
everyone here would agree. On your show earlier today, the Brian McLean show on TNT, you played a clip, I think, from Carrie Lake. She
Oh
was on
yeah,
Tucker Carlson.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I still have it on the
Dude,
soundboard here.
I was going to reference that actually.
Excellent. Okay. So
This is
I'll
the
save
kind
that.
of response I'm looking for.
Okay, I'll
Yes.
save that for you then, Infidel. You can discuss that. But I do want to point out that I personally find it to just be childish. So I would tend to probably, in this case, I'm going to agree with probably what we're going to hear being screamed at everybody from the left and the media and the liberals and probably even the president and Kamala. They're going to say, oh, that was disgusting to use the human beings as a political pawn. And who wouldn't agree with that? So it's childish and stupid that we're seeing, but it's more evidence to me that it's just a game. It's just a show. It's just wrestling. It's just entertainment. This whole politics crap. We're going to see a lot more of this because it's that time of year now, folks, for the midterm elections and whatnot, right? This would be the same as if, we're seeing this picture being painted about how, like, all of these Trump supporters are getting raided by the FBI, and some of these MAGA politicians are getting swatted, and other conservative podcasters and alternative media personality types being thrown through the ringer. This would be like them in their responses. Well, you know what? I'm going to pick up the phone and I'm going to swat who's the Morning Joe guy or whatever, or or I'm going to swat Anderson Cooper, right? I'm going to call let's have the FBI raid the local news reporters. What the heck? I mean, it's so silly the way they're reacting over this, but
Yeah.
I do like what Carrie Lake had to say, and I hope Infidel will bring us up to speed on that.
Yeah, definitely. So, Infidel, you saw what Carrie Lake, gubernatorial candidate, said for Arizona, right?
Mm-hmm. I'm a big fan of her, actually. I've been following her for a little bit.
All right. Well, I'm a new fan. I've got the clip here. You guys want to hear it? Let's just play it so the audience can know what we're talking about.
I can see why they're trying to silence you. Since you're here, I just have to throw this at you, and because you live in a border state that has borne the brunt of the lawlessness on our border, we've just received digital footage of illegal aliens being dropped off in Martha's Vineyard. Apparently, the governor of Florida, Ron DeSantis, flew them there on the idea that communities, border towns in Texas and Arizona are bearing all the brunt, and maybe the people who make these policies should have to live with them. What's your view of this?
You know, I get a kick out of it watching these liberal mayors just, throw their hands up and say we can't handle it because it's life every day for us in these border states. However, I'm not a fan of it, Tucker. I mean, we're just taking people here illegally who shouldn't be here. We're moving them further inland. My plan is the most bold, aggressive plan on the border. We're going to secure the border. We're going to call it what it is, issue a declaration of invasion on day one, get troops on the border in the form of our National Guard. We're going to stop people from coming over, and we're going to stop the cartels from having control of our border. I don't like it as a mother, and I know no Arizonan likes it, that we are the pipeline for the most dangerous, deadly drug this country's ever seen, called fentanyl. Number one killer of young people. It's all coming through Arizona because Joe Biden gave control of our border to the cartels. And on day one, we're going to invoke our Article 1, Section 10 authority and take back control of our border away from the federal government. It's a dereliction of duty what they've done. Yes. And we're not going to let Joe Biden drag the state of Arizona down while he's trying to destroy this country.
Amen. Boy, I can see why they're trying to stop you. Carrie Lake.
Yeah, that's Carrie Lake right there. See, now I don't know. That sounds like a reasonable plan. That sounds like something a governor might want to do when they see packs of tens of thousands of illegal immigrants coming across the border. Just a thought. I don't know. I don't know why it's so revolutionary. I don't know why she has to be vilified as a Q-tard or whatever. I'm sure the smears are abundant for her at this point. I don't know, man. Infidel, if you lived in Arizona, you'd vote for her, right?
Oh, absolutely. There is another clip I was trying to find for her. I will
Ah,
dig for it. But yes, I'm a big fan.
okay, yeah. Drop it to me in the private chat if you find it, and we'll roll it out. Yeah. What do you think of that one, Wandering Wolf? It's nice to hear someone with some sort of plan.
Yes, it is. It's nice to hear someone talking about policy. It's nice to hear someone looking at issues peripheral to the subject of migrants, but also just as important. I mean, really, I think the bottom line of this whole thing to me is that the people in positions to actually do something about the problem are derelict in their duty. And so, really, I think rather than having discussions about the border, particularly, what we have to do is an audit of the people who are in these positions, these government apparatchiks, these elected officials. Let's start there. Let's identify the ones who are sitting on their hands while the problem continues to get worse and worse, and do something about them first, and get people into positions of power who actually are interested in solving these problems.
Yeah, yeah. Tangible sorts of stuff that a lot of people are really interested in these days. Fixing things like that. But no, 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 no. We cut another, what was it? Another $600 million to Ukraine, I think, this week. Boy, I'm losing track, man. I don't know how to keep up with all these billions and hundreds of millions of
He's
packages. It's
funneling,
crazy.
yeah, man. He's funneling more millions, and now he's trying to block declaring the what he's sending out to Ukraine, and he's trying to do it like in a manner, I guess, through increasing funding to Pentagon. I need to find the story, but he's trying to get around like declaring actually how much money he will be funneling to Ukraine.
Yeah, he should he should find a way to not have to tell us how much money he's sending over there because it's getting fucking embarrassing at this point. I'm not seeing quite as many Ukraine flags on social media anymore, as people are paying $7 a gallon for gas in California and their power bills are about to go up again. It's like we got plenty of problems right here, and we're just gonna keep shipping arms and money and millions and billions over to Ukraine.
Yeah, I think what we really need to be doing is some culture jamming in this space. Is you can put out messages that say every dollar, every $10 that of your tax dollars that goes to Ukraine, that's another needle in your local park. That's another person hopped up on fentanyl living under a bridge around the corner from you. We have to make these very direct juxtapositions between the policies that are being bandied about without any dialogue, any discourse, and the actual effects that those policies are having right here on the ground. It's up to us to do that. So we have to give people nutrients in their cheeseburger. Give them pablum, but make sure that we're giving them clear cultural juxtaposition so they can really understand the effects of these things on the ground. That takes it out of the realm of high level discussions about policy and puts it in the realm of what is visceral, what is right in front of you.
I like that idea, man. We should do that. We should do some audio spots like that we can throw in between the shows or during intermissions and stuff. I mean, take a cue from TNT. They're really good at that. They're really good at breaking down little things like that in the breaks. PSAs, culture jamming PSAs, if you will, because I agree with you, man. That's getting really important. It's really important to be able to break things down to that short form that actually means something to people. You got to do that. You got to do that in between the heady, nuanced stuff. So I think that's a good tactic. What do you think, Ruckus? We need to do some spots like that.
Oh, jeez. Yeah. Absolutely. As if we weren't busy enough, but
Yeah,
highly encourage folks out
that
there with
on the to-do list.
a little extra free time on their hands and the creative spirit, and they always wanted to try their hands at it. There you go. There's your homework assignment, folks, as Bill Cooper would say. Um, yeah, no, yeah, we just got to keep doing what we got to use the same tactics they use, and so it's quite clear and evident. I love everything Corey just said there. Um, about Carrie Lake, Joseph Arthur, he lives in Arizona. He turned me on to her pretty early on. When I first met him, I'd never heard of her, and I was like, oh wow, look at her. She, oddly enough, sounds like one of us. Actually, it's pretty astounding. But I'm like, how is she like running for politics? And she used to be like involved with the media, the news on a local station somewhere out there. It's really interesting. I one of the other things I saw her doing recently, maybe Infidel was probably looking for this, but maybe he's seen this as well. She was calling out the hypocrisy of them, wanting to call people terrorists who question the election, and pulled up all of those clips of the you could they're like they were questioning the integrity of the election when Donald Trump was elected, and total crickets about like whether or not those people were terrorists or a threat to democracy. But here's a person running for politics who was willing to point that out. It was something that I would probably only expect to see on like some conservative or alternative news platform discussing such a thing. So she's definitely saying all the right things. Did you see that, Infidel? Oh, there he goes again.
Oh, we just lost him again. Yeah. He's been away from his home studio last week and this week, I think. So he's dealing with
He ordered a few My Pillows a couple weeks ago, so I think the FBI is coming knocking on his door for his My Pillows. Oh, good, he's back.
He's back. Infidel, your Mike Lindell My Pillows. You ordered too many of them, and they're messing with your Wi-Fi signal tonight, I think.
I know. Yeah, the best. The funny thing is actually he's making more sales of My Pillows right now.
I know, right?
This guy know how to make money out of this shit. That's for sure.
Yeah. That's for
I
sure.
saw an interview for him. Is like, I guess the only thing that the FBI will find on my phone is more promo codes.
I saw that. Hilarious. So for anyone that doesn't know what we're talking about, everyone that is in the Trump circle, if you will, they're all getting messed with by the feds right now. And what the feds are doing is they're trying to find, they want their phones. They want to arrest them in ceremonious ways. They want to arrest them in PR events, much like they did to Roger Stone, or they'll wait till you're at the airport, I guess, and they'll come and confiscate your cell phone. That's what they did to Trump associate Mike Lindell this week. And he went on a video live or on Twitter or something like that, and was very upfront about what happened and how he wasn't supposed to talk about what happened, and how, of course, he was going to talk about what happened. They took his cell phone. And yeah, they're trying to tie anyone together that they can with Trump. I mean, it's so obvious what they're doing. It's just all over the media right now. They're trying to tie anyone they can, trying to find anyone's email threads that have anything to do with J6, so that they can try to prove that there was some sort of plan to do an insurrection. It's so ridiculous. They're not going to find anything like that. None of them are being charged with insurrection or any of this garbage, while a whole bunch of American people are being charged with crazy shit that they're not getting much publicity over and sitting in jail for a really, really, really long time. Some of them getting ugly sentences. There was a guy here in Texas that got a 7-year sentence laid out, and he didn't even enter the building. So I don't know. This whole thing is pretty frustrating to see go down. But yeah, they took Lindell's cell phone. They took his cell phone.
Yeah, I think it's intimidation. Really, they're trying to send a message to. Number one, I think I think they're getting desperate. The message I'm seeing especially from the talk heads of the Democrats right now, about like, if Republican took office, it will be a civil war. Like, uh, just throwing it out there is don't even try, or we're gonna make it a civil war. It's not that if the Republican ones are the one who's gonna, start the civil war. It's like, no, we're gonna start the civil war if the Republican one, if they took office. And I think they're just trying to do what we expected them to do. Is once they get in power, they will do all what they can so that they don't lose power. And I think right now there is a big intimidation from both establishment, to really anyone that any concerned American that is trying to practice his right to run for office and take his country back and actually represent the people of this country. They are trying to intimidate anyone that is tied to that America First agenda, or think to talk against the establishment, either establishment. So that's what we're seeing. It's just intimidation factors, and honestly, that's what happens when at the end of any dying regime, because you just once you start losing your cover in front of people, and I think their cover fell. I think a lot of people saw that cover falling, and that's why they are scared shitless right now, and that's why they're going to just keep using the intimidation techniques right now.
Yeah, what do you think about that, Wandering Wolf? You get to a point with these things where all that is left, and we've seen this in pretty much all fascist and socialist regimes. The only thing that is left once the full polarization has happened is for the right side to dehumanize the quote unquote wrong side, the ones that don't agree with them. That's all that is left, is just demonization. And then the next phase after demonization is violence. And many would argue the violence has already descended upon them, depending on their situation. For example, you may have heard today I had Diego Rodriguez on, and his family experienced child protective services coming after his grandson and taking his grandson, and that led him down a rabbit hole of learning about CPS and how it's used, how it's funded, how it works across the country, and it's absolutely staggering. And he's concerned that CPS can be wielded against the political enemies of the government, the same way that the IRS can be, and apparently is looking to ramp up with all their new hires, and the same way that we're seeing the whole high level Trump camp being treated by a politicized FBI, DOJ, et cetera, et cetera. So yeah, that's what do you think about that, man? That's pretty frightening.
Yeah, it is frightening. And at the same time, just like you said, Hesher, I mean, we've this is nothing new. This is part of the cycle of creeping totalitarianism and authoritarianism is just this kind of behavior, just this harassment of any opposition. And I think that we are at the beginnings potentially of violence. That is what I find most concerning. At the same time, I do find myself of the mind that hanging on and exposing these incidents as they occur, blasting them as much as possible, putting them out on the internet, buying billboards, making it completely impossible to be ignorant about these things occurring, and the absolute lack of decency and principles amongst the cabal that is aiding and abetting this kind of behavior is only, to my mind, going to galvanize rational people and make them say, okay, wait a second, this is not the sort of thing that we are used to seeing. This is concerning, and this needs to be monitored closely. There needs to be civil vigilance at the level of the populace to make sure that this sort of thing doesn't get out of hand. So there's a part of me that wants to see it happen because it's waking people up, but I'm also very aware of the Rubicon point, the threshold. Once we cross that threshold, are we going to be able to pull back the cascading effects of the cabal pushing things beyond that set point? That's what concerns me. And then I think, I'm also bearing in mind that concurrently to all of this is just the tightening of the screws of life becoming more difficult for people feeling more anxious, people feeling more hemmed in by financial concerns and by the institutions that they've taken for granted for so long unraveling right before their eyes. So I think what really concerns me about all of this, beyond even the behaviors of these totalitarians, is the combination of that and the fact that the edifices that would be in place to deal with these kinds of behaviors are also collapsing and crumbling at the same time. The psychological impact of that, I don't think, can be fully calculated.
Yeah, that's a good point. And Ruckus, the Civil War talking point, we've been covering this for a couple weeks now since the blood red rant of Biden. And we were talking about it before the show. You and I were talking about it before the show. You've seen it come up again. So it's just like it's kind of being pushed on both sides, it seems like, in the mainstream a little bit.
A little bit. You're funny.
Yes, just a
Just
little
a
bit,
teensy bit.
Yeah.
It's
Have we
not like
gone
we
past the point of no return here on this one yet again? Another theme.
Well, we joked about the whole V for Vendetta speech and thought it was just kind of goofy, but it might wind up being more serious than we thought because this is it's really the script, the show that they're laying down for everybody. That was planting the seeds. All of this was planting the seeds, from the beginning. The J6 thing. Actually, you know what? I think we really do need to back up to the J6 thing and remember what that was like. We were here hanging out, watching that live on all the feeds, right? And we were hanging out in the Discords. I think we did a live stream that day, if I'm not mistaken.
We
Yeah.
did, and I think I was on Stop the Presses with Mark while
Yeah.
it was happening.
So we're all watching it, and it was literally just a rather large protest, you know what I mean? And then so we got to witness practically live, then like let them in and then, guide them. They were walking on the between the ropes and it was just absolutely so silly and in your face and obvious, not what they say it is now. And I think all of us were quite kind of shocked when they did try to present this as an insurrection and make it like where did that come from? Like we're like, what the heck? And then here we are. Well, it's been a little while now. What, a year or so, or a year and a half now?
Yeah,
Almost 2 years. Get
yeah,
out
we're
of here.
coming up on it. It's hard to imagine, isn't it?
This is too much for me to handle, guys. I'm done. Bye.
Yeah,
No,
I
I'm
know.
just kidding. But in all seriousness, though, I thought they're not going to go that route as far as like the chaos, because I do subscribe to this theory. Call me there's no tinfoil hat on the head, but it's there metaphorically, I suppose. And then the label people like to throw at me as calling me a conspiracy theorist for believing that the elites, the powerful ones who pull the strings behind the scenes, self-proclaimed elites. I'm not trying to give them any more respect or power or anything than they deserve, but that's how they feel themselves, and the rest of us peons are just the masses, the unwashed sheeple, lemmings who, the cattle by choice and consent, stakes on the table and whatnot. So but I really never thought for a second that the people would go along with some sort of civil war. They were pushing that whole narrative with the skin color thing, and we're like, no, sorry, we've been there, done that. We're moving on now, please. And they tried so hard with that. They're still trying so hard, but that's not going to start a civil war. It's just this point of contention and just a talking point in the media, But like the politics itself, when Trump got elected, everybody who didn't seem to give a shit about politics before suddenly seemed to give a shit about politics all of a sudden. And that was a very strange and uncomfortable phenomena. So we had that going on. And now here we are. And they're like, if you don't believe in politics and you were in a coma and you just woke up, like, Here's what you missed last week on General Hospital's, previously on 24. Here's the story. You can find this from both sides. It doesn't matter if you are a Republican or a Democrat, which news you look at, Fox, MSN, they're all telling the same story. And the story is we have this wacky, weird, hair-sniffing Alzheimer patient running the country. Okay, I don't care who you are. You can't tell me that guy is a cohesive, intelligent person and that he doesn't like to sniff kids' hair, because he does. Moving on. So we have that guy up there, and he goes and proclaims that the other half of the country who doesn't like him are terrorists. Okay. And now the head of the terrorist group, this is a story. I'm just being really fun and exaggerative here. So we have this leader of this terrorist group over here who just happens to have been the previous president, and he belongs to the other political party opposite to this other guy who's saying all these things, is getting raided by the FBI. Okay. As if, what type of people get raided? What did he do? He must have done something wrong if he's getting raided by the FBI. So what's the next logical conclusion here, right? We have this guy, the former president, Donald Trump, just recently saying that if he gets indicted, two things would happen. Number one, it won't stop him from running for president. Number two, if that happens, I'm quoting him here, he says the American people won't stand for that. What the hell does that mean? Is he implying that if he gets indicted, that his supporters are going to do something about it? What are they going to do? What can they do? Well, I don't know. Before Clown World, before Plandemic, before J6, I would say they'd probably, I don't know, protest. And we saw how well that happened on January 6th. So we can clearly see this story, this picture that they're painting, this ultimate chaos that they do want to build, because that's where the conspiracy theory comes in, because I believe that they want to create chaos and then they want to have some sort of order come out of that chaos. Now, call me crazy. I wish I could, but unfortunately, that's been a long laid plan for a long time. And I'm afraid we've gotten to that point. So, and it's worse than that. We don't even have to see a real protest. All we have to see is that story. And then the storytellers come out and say, oh, here's what happened. And it could be completely fake. And it doesn't matter either way, So there you have it. Black pill.
Right.
Yay.
Should watch the beginning of the movie The Purge, the beginning. It's very similar to that. It starts by basically crashing the economy. People are just tired and protests, and then people do not trust the Republican and the Democrat, and a third party comes, and new founding fathers, and then they state whatever the hell they want. The purge laws, which we're already seeing some of it right now.
Right. Yeah. We're living through certain aspects of Hunger Games. We're living through certain aspects of The Purge. We're living through certain aspects of Minority Report. Philip K. Dick. Gosh, I could go on and on and on. Wandering Wolf, what are your thoughts on everything that we've just gone through here? Because we're definitely on to something here. People can't call us conspiracy theorists for having this conversation, because what Ruckus just laid out was also prefaced by a decade of both the FBI and the Department of Homeland Security issuing these bulletins, prepping people for this narrative. It didn't just start with Trump. This has been going on for over a decade now. The homegrown conservative, terrible person became the new it used to be Muslims. We used to be that used to be our boogeyman of propaganda, to get us through from 9/11 to Syria. But then by the time we got to Syria, it was like, well, we better start shifting this now. And even before Syria, we started to see that. But Syria really started popping off in 2014. I'd say around 2012 is when I started seeing FBI putting bulletins out like that about domestic terrorists and stuff. I mean, even further back than that, obviously, you got Ruby Ridge, you got OKC, all these other incidents, but it became real mainstream about 10 years ago. And then that leads up to everything Ruckus just laid out. Like, what do you make of the whole situation?
Yeah, I think you guys are all really on point. Just coming from the angle of predictive programming in mass media, movies. Obviously, yeah, this is these things that are now coming to fruition. The seeds for understanding or being able to identify those things in the real world. I mean, that's definitely something that has been in our entertainment media for a very long time. I think you go far enough back. I mean, certainly not so much in the '80s. Was this going on, but in the '90s, I mean, that was kind of the first rumblings, I think, of this idea of conservative militias and a kind of populist breakaway society. There was a lot of that going on. There was a lot of discourse around that happening in the '90s, and then it all went away with the biggest ritual drama of them all, which was the 9/11 attacks. Say what you will about those, but yeah, like you say, Hesher, I mean, it's like they were able to shift a lot of the paranoia around, let's just say, not even dissident groups, but groups that might have interests and designs around doing harm in the United States to this idea of the verminous outsider. So Kafka's Ungeziefer, came from overseas. And now with that escalation and that ramping up of the verminous outsider, the Ungeziefer, all of that hatred and bile has been shifted back to the domestic population. So the Ungeziefer is not the verminous outsider; it's the verminous insider. So it's a constant shifting back and forth of focus, but there's an escalation that occurs every single time in terms of how the other is characterized, whether the other is coming from outside of the body politic, or whether or not it's coming from some sector from within the body politic that people already feel alienated from. So yeah, it's incredibly insidious watching all of this play out. And I do think that a lot of it is ritual drama. A lot of it is, which is interesting, right? Because ritual drama could be considered in some ways a form of magic, really, because you're playing out the beats of these ceremonies, the beats of these actions. You're going through a certain set of ritualized protocols to get people to behave in very specific ways. But I will say that I think more and more people are becoming aware of that. I certainly seem to be having more and more people, just as I go about my life here on the ground. I had a conversation with a guy last night who, he's raised on the left, had activist parents, and he was pointing out these things almost as if he didn't expect me to be aware of them. And he was coming from presumably a more left-wing perspective, but he and I actually found ourselves in agreement about a lot of principles and about a lot of observations of what's going on and how people are being conditioned to regard various sectors of society. So that gave me a glimmer of hope, because this is someone who said, he was a left-wing activist in the kind of the early 2000s, but he looked at the events that played out here in Portland in the 2020s and decided, no, I don't want to join these people. I don't want anything to do with the Black Bloc. I don't agree with what's going on. So he was able to exercise some discernment. And he said that the reason he was able to do that is because he started recognizing these patterns that we're all talking about, these patterns of ritual drama. So I think paying attention to ritual drama and trying to predict the next escalation and the next shifting to the next verminous outsider, that is definitely something that we are already doing. And I think more and more people are seeing it. People are starting to wake up.
Yeah, man, that's the whole discovery process over here. That's why we don't note these things out before we go live. We just do a mind meld on it, and we end up doing exactly what we're doing right now, playing the what if game and the what do these media tea leaves actually mean game. And you can see pretty easily the dangerous zones that this could escalate to, moving up to the midterms and then moving up to 2024. I've never seen so much interest in midterm elections, Infidel Pharaoh. Have you noticed that? Like all of a sudden, just the highly politicized nature of everything right now has so many people interested in midterm elections?
Well, I think a lot of people are feeling feeling the change. I think people are getting hit in their pockets. People are seeing the crime rising. Um, a lot of people seeing really that we're at a, at a failed state level right now. So that's creating a lot of um, you know reason for people to go after this midterm election.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but at the same time, um, I don't know. I feel something is going to happen, and they're going to try to pull a trick out. We'll see.
Yeah, me too. On my TNT show, I've talked to a number of candidates. Let's see, like Mike Cargile and like Tyler Jeffney. Both those guys are running for Congress, I believe, in California. Also, Joe E. Collins, and I feel like I'm forgetting one, but it's interesting to me to hear the rhetoric that some of the GOP candidates are willing to use or are using as they go around and do speaking engagements like they do on my show, because they don't sound, you know what I mean? They sound like they would fit in right here in the boiler room. They're talking
Uh-huh.
at a level that's not your typical like GOP grandstanding sort of, bumper sticker level. Like they're pointing out the same things that we are, where it's like
Hmm.
these people are trying to steal from us. They're trying to, they're trying to crash our economy. They've destroyed our infrastructure. Crime is off the chain. And they want to fix those things. And it's like, much like the lady running for Arizona, it's like she's saying it like it is. And so I think that's a good sign that we have people so engaged and that people are willing to come out and kind of speak our language that we've been bold enough to speak over here for the last 8 years at ACR. Um, but I don't know, man. I don't see the scary thing to me, Infidel, is I don't see them getting the support from the GOP that they
They
deserve. It's
will
like,
they will never get the support, and this is
yeah,
the issue: is the
yeah,
establishment since the rise of Donald Trump, the establishment GOP is dead.
yeah,
Um, and this is why they didn't like him. This is why they wanted to get rid of him. Um, and what we're seeing in this midterm election, you know, that America First movement, it is as I said before, Trump just rode the wave. This wave was already happening. Trump was just happened to be there and to be a figure that grand enough that causes and go in and do some you know people like be around him, but also he caused so many other shit. And again, until he denounced that whole vaccine thing, I'm not going to support him
yeah,
uh publicly till he
yeah.
come and say like
And that's a big thing, people, for any of you listeners that weren't here for the 2015 election cycle. Infidel Pharaoh was very supportive of Donald Trump, very supportive of America First, and gave him a full chance. And Infidel, I think he represents a lot of people that supported Trump in that he wanted him to provide what he said he was going to provide. He noted his wins and he was critical of him during his losses and his failures. And what he just pointed out right there is exactly the thing that has lost him the common sense um, uh, voters at this point from the Republican bloc. And unfortunately, everybody's going to vote for him to block Biden if those are our two choices. But people like myself and Infidel and a lot of us out there, a lot of it's a mixed bag over at TNT. There's people like Shannon Joy that aren't going to let him off the hook, and then there's other hosts that are very hopeful that he will be reelected and can pick up where he left off and make a positive change. But it's just so hard for a lot of us to look past warp speed, to look past lockdowns, to look past I'm the father of these vaccines and I did such a great job when we now know that so many people are having adverse effects, so many people are being hurt, so many people have died, and they just keep continuing to push it, and he has not. It would have been an open goal for him. He would have had an open goal if he would have told his base back when COVID hit, hey guys, they're going to shut you down for 2 years. And I don't want to hear any of that. Oh, he didn't know that would happen. Crap. I don't want to hear any of that. I don't care. Even if that's the case, the fact that he's still backing the jab, no thanks. No way. Not going to do it. Would vote for you to not have Biden or Harris or I don't know, Gavin the nuisance Newsom or whoever, but a lot of people, he lost a lot of people there. I've even heard people boo at his current rallies. I've heard audience members boo him when he tries to shine his own trailer hitch about how great he did with COVID.
Yep. Yeah. That Operation Warp Speed is what what gives all the shit we're in right now.
Unforgivable. Yeah. All right. Anyone else want to weigh in there? We will go to intermission shortly here. I want to make sure everyone gets to weigh in before we go to intermission.
Well, I think actually it's interesting. I haven't seen that movie, The Purge, but I didn't know that there was a third party that emerged out of that.
Yeah, man. Look at the it's called the First Purge, and it talks about they were interviewing this like prisoners, and it's like I'm angry at the society, I'm angry at everybody, and I just have this anger and I want to take it out. And this psychologist basically came up with this, was advising that party that the best way to release that anger from people is by creating that purge program, where one day a year all crimes are legal and they can go out and kill each other. There is just certain class of weapon are not allowed, but anything else is allowed.
Wow. Okay. Well, I'm just, I get, it's the third party part that I found interesting because like, it's almost like, cause we've been talking about, it's almost like to each of their bases, both sides are doing some pretty egregious things. I mean, I'm not like a sitting Democrat, and it's been a long time since I was looking at things from that field of vision, but I can see clearly how like Joe Biden would probably be a giant disappointment if you're a diehard Democrats, especially with some of this war stuff. Anyway, I don't know. So, and Trump with the vaccine thing, like it's gonna come up. I mean, if somebody, it's not like when it comes next time for the president, it's not like it's only going to be Trump, and there's going to be no one trying to like become the Republican nominee. So all of these people are again going to bring up the. They'll probably point to that. They'll probably say, "Hey, you know, you were the one that brought us warp speed." We'll see. Maybe not. But I'm imagining and projecting and prophesying, I suppose. I think that the world might be ready for a third party candidate to actually become president of the United States, because I think both sides are just so effing gross at this point that nobody wants anything to do with either party. And I think it's so bad that it's like it's one of these situations where they could just throw anyone in there and they'd be like, yes, please, anyone but either one of these two D-bags is what I'm saying.
Liz Cheney thinking about turning third party after she losing in the Republican Party.
Yeah, Cheney. That's a good laugh right there.
Oh, and I came up with this funny thing for some reason during what Wandering Wolf was talking about. So I think what he was saying is that basically the nanny state is producing a whole bunch of unnecessary baby mama ritual drama. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah, that's about the size of it. Yeah, I think the only thing I suppose that I would add is I always find myself vacillating back and forth between how much of this is organic chaos and how much of it is the fruits of semiotic warfare and psyops. I mean, I know I've said this on the show before, but it was the May 1990 issue of Heavy Metal magazine had a Peter Cooper comic that predicted the rise of Trumpism and the debate about the wall and everything else. A lot of the things that we're seeing now, you can read about it in that 1990 issue. So certainly planting certain ideas, certain memes in public consciousness as seeds for things that are being engineered that are now coming to fruition. I mean, I think that's certainly a large part of what's going on. Yeah, and then the other aspect of it too is how many people in this country know anything about the Weimar Republic, and what took place in Germany during the decade of the Roaring Twenties. I mean, all of the things that are happening here now happened there then. Right down to the dissolution of major political parties, this infighting between left and right dialectics, and this idea that the institutions of the German state were unraveling right before everyone's eyes and could not be relied upon to operate in accordance with the will of the people. All of the things that we are talking about here, again, past is prologue. So I think to really begin to understand what's happening here and now, you have to go back and you have to read up on what happened during the Weimar Republic, and you have to add one thing that they did not have, which is our mass communication technology and the effects of mimetic warfare. And I think that if you can do the calculus on those things, you can really predict what will come next down the pike.
Yeah, really well said. DeWolf in the chat pointed out the old Illuminati card game. If you've been wearing the tinfoil hat for a while, you're probably familiar with that one. That one's pretty interesting too. There's been a lot of predictive programming in the art and entertainment and gaming world for so many things. Really trippy, really trippy. Infidel Pharaoh, what about you, man? You got anything else you want to throw out there into this segment of the Boiler Room?
No, let's take a break.
All right, all right. Sounds good. Okay, Ruckus, what about you? Ruckus, you're on your way out. You're going to head over to the Technicolor Dreamcast. We're going to let you out of here so you can take a breather for 20 minutes or so. And folks, you can head over to tntradio.live at 11 p.m. Central if you want to check out Ruckus on the Technicolor Dreamcast. But Ruckus, man, thanks for being here in the Boiler Room doing double duty tonight.
Thanks for having me. It's always a blast, and yeah, it's always a shame that I have to miss the second half now. But I love what I'm doing over there with my brother Joseph Arthur for his Technicolor Dreamcast at tntradio.live. So it is what it is. At least I always have plenty of opportunity and time to join you guys, at least for the first half. And I got a good feeling you guys are going to be on a long one tonight. So I think I might be able to pop back in and join you for a little bit.
All right, we'll see how it goes. We'll see how it goes, man.
In the meantime, if I don't, you know what I always say. So may God bless each and every one of you, and may God save this republic.
All right, there he goes. That's Ruckus of the Daily Ruckus, everybody heading on over to TNT. And let's see. All right, yeah, let's do it. Let's take a break, you guys. I'll ping you on the Discord after we take 5 here. See if you're feeling a part 2, and we'll reconvene if you are. Everybody out there, thank you for joining us here in the Boiler Room tonight. This again is the September 15th edition. And if you're a podcast listener, you're gonna have to make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube and especially the Rockfin. We're a little jammed up on edits and everything. Derpscan's trying to bail me out of that hole. He's doing me some amazing help. So big shout out to Derpscan and Walk On Army. Check out Walk On Army on Bandcamp. Go support them if you want to support the Boiler Room. You want to support independent media. Help Walk On Army out. Grab some of their songs. Same with Permanent Wave. Same with Joseph Arthur. I need to get a list of musicians that we are affiliated with over here at Alternate Current Radio and at TNT, because it's starting to get to be a pretty long and awesome list. We got Utility, We got a couple people reached out to me that I haven't gotten back to yet. I have not forgotten you. I apologize about that. But yeah, we've got all the videos up there, all the episodes of Boiler Room up there, and maybe I'll play some music on the other side for you Spreaker listeners. See if we can't get some of those bands on air. But for everybody out there watching, thanks for being here for this segment of the Boiler Room, and we'll see you again real soon.